Welcome to the Golden Feather. Your hosts Vertek and Chibi Bree are back from their latest adventure. So go ahead, grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Golden Feather. I just realized, by the way, you will probably notice right away, I did not adjust our cameras. We have one person looking absolutely glorious, perfect. That is our guest on this 143rd episode of the Golden Feather, the 14th of October, 2022. This is Vladis Gaming, and how are you today?
Vertek, I've been doing great, man. I'm really glad to be back again. It feels like it's been too long since I've been back on the Golden Feather, but so glad to be here.
Yeah. When was the last time?
Jesus, I think it was February. I think it was like February.
It's been a minute. I know that.
It has, absolutely.
It's been a minute, yeah. But we have tons to talk about, which is good.
We do. It's true. There we go. So I got me, and now whilst I work on the chibi, how are you today, lovely lady?
I am doing well. I'm certainly happy to be back and excited to chat more about Ashes and meet some of the new community members we have joining us tonight. Hello, welcome in. And also, Grumpy, thank you so much for the resub. We appreciate your support. Cheers to you.
You know we love you. You always bring in the chicken for us.
Yes.
That's where would we get it?
We would go hungry, honestly.
True story.
And Theater, thank you for the cheer, and Zalexia, welcome back. Thank you for the resub. We appreciate it. We look normal, I think.
We look normal. We're fixed.
Oh my goodness. Sneckers. Thank you.
Wow.
For the 10 gift
What was that
subs.
even? Holy mackerel, thank you so much.
We super appreciate you. Thank you.
Straight up Chad right there.
Your farts are kind, especially. You know what? I think that's the first time I remember seeing that name in here. So
me too, actually.
Even more appreciated. That's awesome.
Cheers to them.
Welcome. And what an entry! What an entry!
Absolutely.
All right. So for those who are new here,
as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Hello. Much appreciated. So yeah, those who are new here, what we do is we bring in guests. Different content creators, different people from the community, not always a content creator, sometimes an intrepid person, sometimes just people that like to hang out in the community and talk. Well, today we have a content creator by the name of Vladis, aka Vladis Gaming, aka this guy in the corner, and guy in the corner. Could you tell them a little bit about you? Who are you?
Just a guy in a chair.
It's just a guy.
Yeah, I'm just a guy in a chair. No, I was joking. No, I really appreciate it. I mean, honestly, I started doing my content back in January, and you guys were the very first people to reach out to me to come on and talk about why I got started, why I was passionate for Ashes of Creation. And so much has happened since then. I mean, with the whole UE5, with the updated races, with just, the character creator, the basic melee, basic ranged seasons. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And again, I'm just so grateful to be making content for this community. Again, I came from a very toxic community, which was World of Warcraft for so long, that I'm just glad to be actually making, content for a community that, is very appreciative for just communication and just, feedback and just talking about this game and what we want and what we expect from this game. And I think that today's AMA perfectly encapsulated all of those feelings in just this 1 hour. Which was
absolutely
great. Yeah.
And since we last talked, you've started your own podcast, right?
Yes. So thank you so much. It was the 1v1 podcast, and it's basically just, everyone said you're going to run out of content creators to go on, and I am still going strong. I'm going to hopefully have you guys in the month of November, and y'all it'll be a 1v2. It'll be a 1v2.
Well,
but
I can 1v him. It'll be fine. Let's go at it.
Yeah. But I did that whole concept because
right. I'm over here trying not to have a panic attack.
Oh my God. Are they still doing the subs?
Snickers just gave 20 gift subs. And we're at level 7. Thank you. Oh my God.
That is like a record for this channel. Yeah, level 7. We've never gotten up there. Snickers.
I didn't know you could go past 5.
Thank you, Psycho.
I
appreciate
no
it.
idea
What?
hopefully those are people that I pinged a lot of discords when I came in here. So hopefully these are some of the people that are coming in and showing you guys some love and appreciation of what y'all do. Y'all been doing this a lot longer than I have, and I can't even imagine being at episode 143 or 147 of 1v1.
Oh man.
So congratulations to you guys and just doing what y'all are doing and keeping going.
Thank you. Welcome from Jalon's stream, Snuckers, and everybody else who came from Jalon. Jalon is awesome people. We support Jalon a lot. One of
Honestly,
our
every
favorites.
stream we always have his music playing in the background. Right now there's my Lord playing, but
wow,
most of the background music we have is all PGN music.
Yeah, pretty much. We really support PGN. I listen to PGN on my own time too. So the Song of My Peoples, yes, the Pirate Elves. Welcome over there. Welcome to Odd Job, Unknown System Error, Steckers, Psychophobic.
Yeah, Psychophobic is actually the guild leader of Suspect.
Oh, very nice. Yes. Psycho, if you're ever interested in popping on, we'd love to interview you if you wouldn't mind. We love chatting with our guild leaders and getting more exposure for them.
Oh yeah, they're going to be an awesome mercenary guild where they're going to be guns for hire in the lands of Vera.
What?
So,
hey, if you need heals, I'm planning to go healing. No, just putting it out there.
Yeah, see, mercenary for hire. I foresee properly set up and properly organized mercenary guilds to be commanding some top dollar.
Awesome, DMS.
Absolutely. And they came from New World doing that and were very profitable in that game. So I can't even imagine in Ashes how profitable they can be.
We'd love to chat about that. That sounds fun. So 1v1 is kind of similar to what we do, except for it's you and a guest. And you just had a big guest recently. How did that go?
Did I have a big guest?
You announced that you had a big guest, yes.
I did. I don't. So I had to talk. So I guess exclusive here, you heard it here, folks, on the Golden Feather podcast. I had a guest that I was really wanting to talk to. I had two actually that I was really excited to do. One was Adam Baird, called him Adam Bard. But Adam Baird. Bard is still cooler. I mean, he admits it. But when I came in last year in October and I really went in deep in the Ashes community, there was certain content creators that I really gravitated towards their content. And Adam Baird was one of them. And this episode has not gone live, but the other one was Richie SH.
We love Richie. Hi, Richie.
Yeah, Richie's cool people too.
He's awesome, and he was another person where I really gravitated towards his content. And there's many other people that I've interviewed that I gravitated towards their content. I was just having the privilege of talking to these people and having an open dialogue and discussing, my opinions and their opinions and just, bobbing and weaving these feedback back and forth. And that's what I love about this community and the fact that, it feels heard. And just by this AMA and going into Alpha 2, I'm just so pumped and excited about it.
Oh man.
It's great. You know what I mean? And I think the 1v1 experience is just different than a lot of the podcasts because it's, a lot of the podcasts usually have 4 or 5 or even 6 people all chattering together. And I think this just feels a little bit more personal. You're just hearing a personalized conversation, which is kind of why I like the Golden Feather, because you guys are one unit. So it is kind of like a 1v1.
Are you sure it's not a little overwhelming? Because he asks a question, I ask a question, and we're 2v1.
No, not at all, man. I feel like it's this is just a different format, and I feel like I didn't want to replicate what was already being done, right? I think people respect and kind of this is a different thing, you know what I mean? And I appreciate it for being different. And I think the Golden Feather, y'all do, I think, really great work. And then there's other podcasts. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm just not too big of a fan of some of the other Ashes podcasts. Not because I don't like them. It's just because I just think the format's a little overdone and they don't really do much to innovate or to do something different. And that's all I'm saying is just the fact that I appreciate what I do and I appreciate what you guys do. And I just think the community can just find what they gravitate towards. And that's the most important thing.
Hard.
So Unknown System Error goes, ha. So no plagiarizing. How on topic for today.
Speaking of, should we pop in, or did you have any other questions for Vladis?
Oh, hey, I mean, if you have anything you wanna plug or get out there outside of what you've already stated, feel free to toss it out at the beginning and save up for later too.
Success. Thank you for the level 7 hype train. So sorry to cut you off.
Yes.
No.
Crazy.
We have a lot of
Wizzy
people
is here.
from the Suspect Guild. I'm so happy. Like, again, they're great peeps. Again, like I joined Axiom early this year, and I've yet to interview my guild leader, which I've told her many times. But Angel Cry is awesome. She's actually been in this transition period of actually buying a new house and just doing all this crazy stuff. So totally, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But if you want to ever see my content, if you haven't seen my content, I created, I think, a pretty amazing trailer that I think you would like if you're an Ashes of Creation fan. It's on the homepage of my channel of just youtube.com, Vladis Gaming. So
how long is that, by the way?
the trailer is like 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Very
well,
short.
if we could bother you for one, Vertec and I would be interested in having a little mini commercial of your content because we have some ideas. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, what we're doing is we figure with Twitch, it seems like they're pushing more and more doing the ads thing. And instead of having someone be forced to endure ads before they come in and not have a clue if they're missing anything, and missing out on conversation and whatnot, we would opt for the running like X amount per hour to eliminate entry roll ads. And during that time, so that nobody at all is actually missing anything, when we run an ad on Twitch, we would run an ad for the subscribers that would actually be guilds or other content creators or websites for Ashes, like within the Ashes community. So either way, we'd be running like dual ads at that point. We'd be running like Twitch ads for everybody who does not sub, and then for subs to be able to see, other content creators and such and how they want to represent themselves. Maybe some people jump in and they get a gift sub and they're not really decided on a guild yet, and so there's a guild ad. It's a quick like 30 seconds while Twitch is seeing a regular ad.
Right. That's awesome. Like, 15 seconds, is that like how long you probably want it? Like an ad's usually on Twitch are like 15 seconds.
15 to 30. Yeah, because I figured we have to do like 1 minute an hour to avoid pre-roll ads or something like that. So
yeah, it's frustrating.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think if I because I've been debating if because I do want to stream, but I've been debating on if I do stream, it's probably going to be primarily on YouTube. Like,
and that's understandable, honestly.
Yeah, if I do stream, it's going to primarily be on YouTube. I may do a restream and do it to both Twitch and YouTube, but I think I would rather just be a YouTube content creator. Like, I mean, all my content's on YouTube. It just makes sense. I feel like the Twitch meta is going to slowly die out. No offense, but I feel like in 5 years, it's going to be it's people are thinking it's going to be bad now. I think in 5 years, Twitch is going to be really bad. I think the average person, you're going to have to go and branch out and do some other kind of content, like whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram Reels, Facebook.
I'd venture to say you kind of already have to.
You do, like, especially if you want to grow. Like that's the issue. And
that's the best way to grow, not Twitch. Yeah. And
I'm only saying this unless Twitch just keeps doing what they're doing, which is nothing. If they do something, then maybe something can be, resolved. But it's hard to say.
Yeah, exactly, Psycho. I agree. My biggest fault with Twitch/Amazon was when they started the ads. And if you're a Prime person, you used to not have to have ads. Velvets are fun. Yes.
Terrible.
Yes.
Terrible and amazing.
But that's actually something that Vertec and I have also considered, and we're in the process of, talking about like the pros and cons of both places. Is it worth swapping over? Is it not worth swapping over? And it's perhaps for a new person who's looking to begin creating content like us and like you. I think YouTube may just be the way to go because you could build your community that way. But I think as long as you're not an affiliate, I think restreaming is a good idea because then you can say, hey, I live stream both to YouTube and Twitch. The only thing there, Zelen, is as an affiliate, you're not allowed to. It's a part of the contract is that you cannot dual stream to YouTube and Twitch if you're an affiliate.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's why... Or go ahead.
You limit your monetary options, but you can do both, which in theory would double your base monetization options, but
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube. Oh, they totally did not get rid of that. Not to YouTube.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think they got rid of it for TikTok.
Yeah,
Facebook?
like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. You can stream to, not YouTube. They specifically said not YouTube. Yeah, Facebook.
Yeah.
I think you can. They specifically call out not YouTube or other major, like if their central focus is streaming out video, you're not allowed to.
Abra, I see your question. I'm pinning it, so don't think we're ignoring you. I gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like that's why Ninja just ditched all of his contracts, just said, I'm going to stream everywhere. I'm going to stream on all 9 different streaming platforms, and just went that route.
And honestly, things like Stream Elements, right? Where people can subscribe through Stream Elements. You don't have to have one specific platform to subscribe through. I think that might be a certain way to go.
Right.
Yeah, once you get the Ninja size, you could just say, like, I'm going to stream everywhere that's free to stream on, and if I get money from it, I get money from it. But then I'm going to drop links to a place that literally the only thing that gets taken out of it is a credit card processing fee. Just that's it. Here's my coffee, and here's my PayPal. Here's my Venmo. The end. Like, that's where I'd like you to send money to. Thank you. Not this 50-50 stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
But Zillan, we are waiting for the day where they're like, affiliates, you can do it. I'd rather see affiliates be able to do multi streaming rather than, I understand a partner being, because you're partnered with that. But yeah, I understand them taking something, but I mean, if you look at things like Patreon, they take 20%, right? So,
right.
Or less, and so like, I don't understand the 50-50 personally, but
Especially when you have millions, and I mean, sometimes it's probably millions of people every day watching Twitch, like in some
Twitch
capacity.
has grown extremely a lot since even when I was younger and it was first starting. Like, there's a lot of people every day that sign up to stream, what are the alternatives to YouTube and Twitch, really? Patreon? OnlyFriends?
OnlyFriends.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I think that's the thing. They know that they don't have competition, so they limit it, right? So that's something that content creators like yourself and ourselves have to consider. Like, what is the best type of platform for my type of content? What type of content do I want to make? We technically both make good, long, evergreen videos, right? Ours is a little bit more relied on the current information. So, like, even a year ago's information is a bit outdated.
Right.
But it's still, how does this person stand? And this is why we like having people like you back. Like, has your opinion changed since the last time we were chatting?
Right.
Things like that. Because as information comes out, Vertec and I, we've changed our opinion on a couple of things, especially me with PvP. So.
And some of it is honestly because of the guests that we have on. Have a talk with some guests and go, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so bad.
I mean, I talk in nauseam in our Axiom Discord about Ashes of Creation, and in I mean, again, I've never been afraid of my opinion changing if someone brings me a reasonable argument to think otherwise. And at first, I've always been an advocate for the casual gamer. I know we all like to crap on them and get wrecked son kind of thing, but I feel like we do need casuals to play Ashes of Creation. So I will always be an advocate for that person, but I doesn't mean that I want safe spaces in Ashes of Creation. I want to create a balance of not striving so hardcore like WildStar to where we get shut down in 2 years, but I don't want the Care Bear status that World of Warcraft has either. Like, so there has to be a middle ground that we can reach. And I know every time when I say middle ground, there's some hardcore people that don't want a middle ground. They want it all on the right side. They want it all hardcore. But again, if we really want to appeal to a somewhat of a general audience, like, we do have to kind of be a little bit more lenient. And I think that's where the corruption system kind of comes in for people that are afraid of PvP, right? And I think once they experience the corruption system, and I think once as a server, you experience what it is to die from killing someone that didn't want to be killed, like, you might think otherwise, to be like, I don't want to do this all the time. You know what I mean? It has to be for those very select moments. And I think as World of Warcraft players, because we get camped so often in those PvP servers, that's where the trepidation comes from.
Yeah, I agree. And for me with the PvP, it's just because of the open PvP zones where you're usually on a primarily PvE server, and then there's like the outlands, which are primarily PvP. So then people like to gang up on the newbies who are just trying to quest to get through there. And I found it really frustrating that I had to die constantly. And meanwhile, they could just sit there and keep like hitting you as soon as you res. So it's just,
exactly.
I'm being punished for something I didn't want to partake in.
Right.
And you know, there's also something to be said about World of Warcraft players in general, and I'm speaking in very general, broad terms as far as MMO categories go. A lot of them are, you know, the easy life. They want the easy life. That's why they're on WoW, because everything is easy life. It's like they hand you kind of everything. And if they don't hand you something, then it's extremely hard. Like there's nothing really in the middle of difficulty, it seems. Mythic Dungeons accepted because they obviously have a graduated whatever. But anywho, players in general, like they can go in and do whatever they want, or even buy max cap level, right? And just start running around and doing solo PvP, and they're fine. Right. But Ashes is going to be geared more towards people that have to make decisions about what they want to do in groups to run around and gain levels and power up. And it's going to be a lot of team play towards the end, and running around on your own isn't going to get you very far with a lot of stuff.
Right.
So I have a feeling a lot of the just, I'm going to run around and gank people and then go do whatever is not going to be quite as prevalent.
Right.
I think.
And I think that's where the way that Intrepid and Ashes of Creation intends to deal with the situation kind of has me opening up my mind again to trying out PvP. And the other thing to consider is it's very different playing PvP when you're playing by yourself versus playing with a group of friends, or even a guild for that matter. So experiencing my first PvP in what was that random thing that we were testing with our guild? It's like Elion. I think that was really fun. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that, knowing that I had a teammate around me and, you know, fighting with me. And it's not just me by myself being picked on for being the healer. So part of it that I admit is probably me choosing to play heals. And that's probably one of the more targeted people, because, you know, you don't want the healer to keep healing the people you're trying to kill. So I understand that, like, to a degree, it could have been the role that I chose, but I'm pretty excited to test out this PvP stuff. That being said, there's a couple of different things that you've highlighted here from today's AMA.
Yes.
Is there anyone in particular you want to start with?
Nope. Whatever one you want to start with, I'm good.
Ooh. How about you, Vertec? Any of these highlighted ones jumping out at you?
Oh, all right. The highlighted ones. Let's see. How many abilities? Okay. I like that. Okay. Vision primary leveling system. Ooh.
I will not go against Wizzy, by the way. Wizzy, I think, would easily beat me in PvP.
Oh, she is so fiending for PvP. Let me tell you. Our episode was awesome. If you want to hear her talk about PvE servers and how much she advocates for them, go watch her episode on the 1v1 podcast. She'll tell you how much she loves PvE servers. I'm totally memeing, by the way.
Oh yeah. I imagine it. I was just trying to. My brain just went off on a little tangent, like imagining how that conversation would actually go with Wizzy. It would last about 2 minutes, and she'd be like, "No, shut up."
Yeah, exactly. That's literally
enough.
what it was.
That's enough. I can't do this anymore. But I don't know. You know what? After looking at the ones that you highlighted specifically, I would say the one that made the biggest splash.
You want to talk about professions? Or what, that's to me what made the biggest splash, but
well, that's what I was saying, figuratively, not really like actually made the biggest splash in the news, but the castle sieges and ocean coastal nodes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The last question.
Yes. I just had a fanboy about this because this was a question that I was like, clearly no. Like, what is this guy talking about? And then Steven comes out of nowhere. It's like, actually, yes.
Actually.
I'm like, actually, there's
going to be some nodes that can only be attacked by ship.
Oh my God. Dude, could you imagine the scope of that kind of content? Like, as a content creator, having ships launching like potion launchers or whatever to like a castle, and then you have people like, you know, that video they showed, I think it was last year, I think in November, it was that they were showing the frames per second of NPCs attacking in this castle siege, and it was like going through the castle and stuff like that, like a very cinematic little video that they did. Imagine that with like naval stuff at the same time, like, and then you're gonna have like a person like with a dragon like overhead, and like there's gonna be like PvP objectives all happening simultaneously. Could you literally imagine people doing all of that? I can't. Like, it's so unimaginable to me, but we're gonna do it apparently. So
I see myself the very first time that there is a node castle or a castle siege on the ocean coastal node, and it's purely being attacked by ships. I'm going to ask my guild leader if I can be a guild leader for the day, just to get a flying mount and capture all that from the air. Like, I just want to capture all of that from the air. That's
it's
it.
Gonna
just
be,
I'll take it back. Give me like an hour, and I'll give you the chair back, boss.
It's
just
gonna
like
be
a drone.
utterly nutty. Yeah, I'm just so, again, like, it's just the fact that that's going to be Ashes' bread and butter. Like, people will ask, like, what is Ashes going to be known for? It's going to be known for these sieges. It's going to be literally known for like these epic battles, these 250 versus 250, or potentially 500 versus 500. I mean, when I was not even playing the Alpha 1, and as a World of Warcraft player where I am doing a 40 versus 40 and it is lagging so bad where I feel like I'm going to get disconnected from the server. And yet here I am seeing over hundreds of people on the screen, hardly any lag, no rubber banding, abilities going off seamlessly. And I'm like, what is going on here, man? Like, what voodoo did they do on the networking side to pull this off?
They made their own. That's what.
Yeah.
And they made it very well, not with like, I feel like the Three Little Pigs for Blizzard over there, and like they literally made all of their back end on sticks, and the bid bag will just blows it down every single time. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff you can do with like network optimization. I know one thing that I used to install back in the day when I had bad ping. There is an edit you can do to basically how your network sends packets. It usually waits until a packet is full of data and then it'll send it. Right. But you can actually get this little thing, and I forget the name of it. I probably still have it on like an external hard drive of like the dungeon of stuff from yesteryear. But it actually sends it out to where it sends out like the smallest of packets. Like as soon as it is stopping and waiting for more data, it sends it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it grabs whatever data it has, packs it up and sends it out. I mean, you get a lot more network traffic. Like you get a lot more network traffic, but it moves faster. So your ping goes down because it sends it like immediately. As soon as it can, it sends the data, like ships it right off. Ooh. But your amount of network traffic goes up. So as long as they have a big backbone behind their servers, like the switches and everything are super high, then you're good. But yeah, it at least gets the communication goes faster, which is always solid.
Touching base real quick with our lovely viewers, Overthrow says Blizzard servers are old. Their Mythic End bosses have too many abilities for the servers to handle many nights. And then Psychophobic says it's because Steven hired the netcode people from PlanetSide 2, which still holds the world record for the largest player battle. So I think having go ahead.
I was just I verbally out loud, my brain said yes, that's it, that Leatrix latency fix. That was the thing. Like as soon as I saw it, my brain had to speak it out loud. Like that's the thing. That's the
and then Kaylin, hi Kaylin, says that video showcased how optimized their engine is with like no draw distance whatsoever. I can't wait to see multiple ships barraging a coastal castle siege with foot soldiers rushing in, defenders scrambling. Gonna be a blast. And I agree. I have to say, with this video that we have up, he swaps into the next zone, and you can tell because of the UI thing that pops up, but it looks like no change in terms of the world around them.
Right.
So yeah, big brain on Steven's part. Absolutely. The performance of Let me get this up. The performance of Alpha 1 Castle Siege video is pretty much why I bought an Ashes pack and got involved. Other developers promise mass PvP, but it pretty much always falls short, and they never fix it post-launch from Overthrow. So, welcome in, Kaylin.
That Castle Siege, let me tell you from being inside it, it was pretty wicked.
It was crazy.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Because it sounds awesome. Like just looking at it, I mean, as a viewer, and I think that's to me what I feel Ashes does so well from a viewer perspective. When you're not even participating in it, it feels so visceral and you just want to be there. Like, and I think that the reason why I think Twitch has been literally steadily falling when it comes to when a gamer or when a streamer plays a game is because most games are super uninteresting. Like there's nothing visually that's so captivating that you just literally want to see what's going on. It's mostly there for the drama. But Ash's gameplay, when it comes to those sieges, are so freaking good to watch. Like it is primetime TV, like epic. It's just so good. So I feel like that's going to be like the very first Castle Siege that happens in Ashes is going to be bonkers on Twitch.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, honestly.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go first. You go first.
I was going to say, that brings up Abarat's question. Do you think Ashes will be attractive to viewers to stream?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's going to be many reasons to stream, and yeah. But I'll let you go first. You're the guest.
No, I mean, all I was going to say is that for me, as someone who viewed a lot of A1 content, I was just captivated, like just seeing it from different perspectives, different classes, like, you know, because when you're going through these sieges, there's so many other people around you. Like if you're a mage and you're watching someone play some epic 5-head plays as a mage, you're feeling just right in the driver's seat, almost like you're just like electrified to the screen. But if you're also a healer and you're literally doing these like awesome like smart heals or just, you know, just making these really awesome plays and cooldowns, and it's very exciting, you know what I mean? And because it's on a grand scale, like we have yet to really see something like Tolbarad, you know, in World of Warcraft, like in not Winter Spring, but in Lich King, that one sieged battleground.
Oh yeah, the big one with the walls and
like I think it was called Tolbarad. I could be mistaken. Whatever.
Nair, I see you. No.
Northrend. I forget the name of it, but yeah, it was up in Northrend, right? Yeah, Wintergrasp. Yeah. So that was the closest, but this feels like that times 10 Super Saiyan 4 God mode. Like I don't know. I feel like as a viewer, there's going to be so much content that is going to feel very captivating to watch.
Absolutely.
And these, like the massive amount of objectives. And yeah, by the way, Sir Unzington said, yeah, stream your caravan runs blocks. But yeah, the castle sieges, I see many of people looking for names that have TTV next to them. Right. Because they're going to be like, okay, that person's streaming. That's a whole other point of view. I'm going to go watch that. They're going to be looking for names that they recognize in that to try to get different vantage points on the battle. Because I mean, even in the one that they showed off, right? There were like 2 different dragons you could go and attack to get 2 or 3 different. Because there was the green, the red, and the white or something. Right. Either way, there were 2 or 3. Because there was definitely a red one. You could go and attack it and get boosts and aids for your attack, right? Or defense. Right. And then there's different ways of sneaking into the castle, and there's a whole bunch of different stuff going on with just the battlefield itself. There's the artillery up on the walls shooting stuff, so...
Sorry, our chat needs to be bonked.
Oh yeah?
Bonked?
Our chat really needs to be bonked right about now.
Oh no. We gotta get a mass bonk in order here.
Do we have the bonk live at the moment?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I don't think we have a bonk set up now. What does that mean?
Bonk is like when chat's being too horny or naughty, so you bonk.
Yeah. When you're getting a little bit adult up in this piece.
I was gonna say on one of the questions, if you don't mind, if there was a question I really want to talk about.
Go for it. Yeah, definitely.
Because this one, to me, like we had a lot of discussion afterwards about this particular discussion in Axiom. What do you envision as the primary leveling systems for Ashes? That to me was a question that I was really shocked by the answer.
Thank you, Alexia.
Because he said it's going to be a bit traditional. Did not expect that. Not at all.
Yeah.
I
Neither
was
did I.
really, really shocked by that. And again, I'm a fan of tradition. There's no reason to remake the wheel and stuff like that. But he also said that questing isn't going to get you to the next level. Like if you do all the quests in that area, you may only get up to 60%, which means if you're that person who just does quests, you're not going to be able to efficiently or effectively level in that manner, which I kind of like. Like it's kind of weird because in World of Warcraft, anytime there's like an alpha or a beta of a new expansion and you can't do the main story only from this point to this point, like people hate it in WoW. Like they're like, buff the XP so that way you only have to do the main story and you can just level like that, like without even doing a single dungeon. But I feel like the essence and what the vision of what Steven is trying to create is to explore, is to not be so railroaded, right? Like theme park games are so on rails that we're so used to that. We're so used to being on those rails when we're getting on them that now the track doesn't go as far. It stops. So now where do you go? What do you want to do? But I also think too, and this can probably lead into another question later on, but about professions. Like professions are going to be so mandatory in this game. If they actually provide very equitable experience, I mean, you're probably going to be able to effectively level doing that in conjunction with maybe something else. So if you're a really big profession person and you love questing, that two in combination could really help you level. And I think that is very different from any other MMO too. And it is not traditional if you do it in that manner, because you can't really level by a profession in hardly any other MMOs.
Yeah. Sorry. They're doing the fight right now, so people are just going flying off the screen. Rigged.
Wizzy won using the feather duster.
Wizzy would win using a feather
Telling you, her
duster.
PvP skills are unmatched. Just saying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the looked kind of soft. Honestly, there's a lot of things. Like I was a little bit sad trying to get back into trying to get back into some of the games, because I'm like, oh man, I remember I liked this part of the game, but I'll never experience that again because the expansion changes that part forever. You know, like
Yes.
I always wish there was a way to experience the game as it came out. World of Warcraft is one of those things. I loved old Orgrimmar, and yes, now they have Classic. No, I'm not jumping on that. But I wish as a new person joining, you could have experienced the change of events the way that we did. Because if you're playing as it evolves, it's a lot more drastic than playing after it's already evolved.
Right.
And it has more of a reaction to like the storyline, right? Like you're physically seeing the changes happening. I remember when I was really little when Cataclysm came out, but when Cataclysm came out, I remember just my mind being blown, like, oh my gosh, there's this dragon that's like ripping Orgrimmar asunder. Like, oh my gosh, it's changing everything. Like it was crazy, you know? But you know what, Ashes, get out of here. I may be 4'10". I may be 4'10", but that doesn't mean doesn't mean anything. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool to see how Ashes maybe handles this. I mean, every server is going to be different. Every server is going to be different. The storyline's going to be interesting and different. And I imagine the storyline potentially might be changed based off of
what you might do.
Yeah, of what you might do, of like the primary race in the area, etc. Like it's so much room for like so much to happen. It's crazy. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just, the one thing that I kind of want to from leveling is group aspects not being like either nerfed or just something you can't do. I really want groups to matter. I really want communities to be able to quest together and do things together and not feel like I can do this so much more efficiently if I was doing it by myself. I hate that. I really hope Ashes does something different to change that. So that was the one thing I kind of wish Steven would have talked about more so, is like how grouping and leveling is going to work. Because if you were to do that in Lost Ark as an example, it's just so inefficient to group as a as to get a group together in quest. Like you just do it by yourself. Like that's how you do it, Five Head. And I would love it to be a little bit different for Ashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Sorry, Wizzy.
that's something I had a question about.
Same, Wizzy. I felt old too. I just didn't say anything because I'm the typical average MMO player age of 36. Die.
Womp womp.
I know.
Sorry. Goodness.
No, you're fine.
When people make you feel old. Part 2.
Oh man.
Hey, at least
But,
I'm not as bad as the people that were born in 2001.
Well,
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
You go to the bar and people born in 2001 are allowed to walk in with you.
Yeah.
How does that make you? How
Nothing-
old does that make you feel?
Nothing against like people that were born then, but like yeah, that does make me feel old, and so I imagine how I make you guys feel old. So like, I'm just like, oh man, already? They're already 21. Goodness.
Oh
It just it sounds so much farther away than it actually is. you know?
Right? It's
Or
crazy.
it sounds like it was not long ago. I know what I meant. Yeah. Sounds like it wasn't too far away.
Seems like it was just yesterday. That's what he's trying to say. Because I mean, that's
Oh,
our
Lordy.
big thing. I'm 25 now, playing Wrath of the Lich King, never getting past level 39 because I was a dumb kid. I got stuck in
Got
Desolate.
stuck
Oh
in
no!
Desolate. Nice. Nice. But yeah, that's what you were saying about grouping and experience there. I was really hoping to hear him go more into that because he did say that was going to be the primary stuff, right? Is questing and grinding, but
Right.
in a group setting, basically.
Right.
So it's going to end up being like group quests, group content is how you're going to have to go through and level and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right.
Just in case you guys are wondering, I'm about to be 28. My birthday present every year is Ashes of Creation's Extra Life. That's my birthday present.
Oh, are you in November, baby?
I am a November baby.
Oh.
So I always love it because my birthday is usually falling on like that same weekend. So I'm like, oh, I get to stay up all night and like watch the live stream. It's fun. But yeah.
So do you want to talk about question number 3?
Ooh.
So this was another
Question
one
number
that
3.
I, again, just what I found out when I kind of left WoW, I didn't leave WoW. I'm still playing it, but I like to think I left mentally checked out anyway. I love classes. I love like talents and abilities and rotations, cooldowns, like what makes this class different, unique. Similar to like the Ranger, right? With freaking airstrike. Awesome ability. So question 3 is how many abilities will be made or are planned to be made for each archetype? I was so like relieved by the answer. It being around 35 or 40, which means that every base class is going to have a plethora of abilities to choose from, what you're going to be able to talent into. I was just so relieved because I thought we were going to have probably like 6 to 8 abilities to put on a bar, and that was it.
Right. So imagine
Yeah.
what do you want to be for your primary, secondary? Like ideal.
I don't know yet. I feel like because in World of Warcraft, I play everything.
Okay.
There are some classes that I do gravitate more towards. Like I love Warlock, I love Shaman, I love Priest.
Okay, well, Shaman, isn't that a primary, secondary mixture in Ashes?
Yes.
So let's go
it
with
is.
that. If you were a
Right.
shaman and I was a shaman with 35 to 40 abilities, we'd be 2 very different shaman.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And that's, because people were saying like, oh, maybe they should have it like specs in World of Warcraft. Well, I feel like they don't need to have it like World of Warcraft. They can have it to where it's just a little bit different, because they could have like a mini Path of Exile talent tree to where when you're a shaman, there's certain pathways you can go to spec yourself completely different from someone else who is also another shaman.
Right.
There's many things they can do. I just was afraid that they were going to be very basic about it in the sense of customization, like not to mention again with Lost Ark, but I don't think the tripod system does a very good job of customizing your class. I think it's very rudimentary, it's very basic, and it's boring. So for someone like me, I don't want that, but I also don't want something that's like Path of Exile where it's like super endless and just crazy possibilities, because that would be a nightmare and a half to balance, especially in an MMO. It works in Path of Exile because yes, it is an MMO, but it's not the typical MMO. So Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just really relieved. I'm just curious, like, were you like, what did y'all think about this whole ability thing and having almost 35 to 40 to choose from?
I was actually curious about hearing Vertex input because I primarily play healers, but I want to see from like a tank standpoint. What do you think? Oh, you're on mute.
I am on mute. I am not anymore.
No.
But I think it depends a lot on how you go about selecting those. Like if there's, say, 3 skill trees, and each skill tree you have, 10 to 12 that you can choose from going up, and each tier you have like 3 to choose from. Okay, cool. So I have 4 tiers to pick on 3 different trees or something, and I can make a fairly diverse build like that, and it's pretty cool. But if it's just kind of choose this or that or this or that, I think it'd be kind of awkward. But yeah, 35 to 40 things, if anything, it sounds like it's even limited from what many games out there have as far as your choice goes. If there's 3 trees, like there's let's say there's a threat, a damage, or not a damage, but like a threat, a health, and a damage mitigation tree or something.
Right.
But if there's 2 different skill trees to pick from, and one is actives and one is passives, that sounds like it's going to have a lot more options for you to dig through and just feel like you can make more choices. And having a good bit of actives and a good bit of passives in there is, I think it'll give good flavor. I like the idea of, and this comes from me playing WildStar also, I thought I was going to hate it going into WildStar. I really did. I thought it was going to be the one thing that I was going to have to throw my keyboard for. And that's, they only let you pick what, like 8 skills to have on your hotbar?
I think so.
Right.
Yeah. Something
And
like
I
that.
thought I was gonna rage at that, but I loved that because it made you spec out for what you're doing, and you had to think about it, and you had to really dial into what you wanted your build to do.
Yeah.
And you didn't need 170 little buttons floating around the screen, like. Wow, I have like candy bars and Pitbull and all that stuff up. So I had literally probably 150 to 200 buttons on the screen just ready to click. And like I got my Naga specifically for that so I could have, 5 different mod keys, and suddenly I have 70 or 80 buttons on my thumb.
Yeah.
Like it was bananas. But I didn't like that.
And the other thing is also what Snuckers is saying is taking different weapons for different passive weapon tree makes class customizable too.
Yes.
And as Psychophobic says, it adds strategy to your choices. So I'm sure there's going to be a meta, but like, I don't know if you've caught that show, but Vertec and I have talked about meta before. And my overall opinion is there will be a personal meta, and then there'll also probably be like what the community thinks is meta. But there's also going to be, what is meta for you? What is the best thing for you? What do you want out of your class? And so some people, they want to min-max their healing. Some people want to min-max their damage, things like that. There's probably going to be some that lines up, but at the end of the day, everybody has a different play style. So what lines up with your play style? And that's why I think it's cool between the weapons and the archetypes that you have such a diverse collection of builds, honestly.
I feel I think Pyromancer, not Pyromancer, one of the mages that streams World of Warcraft, he's the one that gets confused because there's 2 of them that have the same name, and I'm talking about the good one, not the one that's terrible. But basically, he proved one time he went against the meta and had he did a PvP arena of all horrible mage talent choices, and he won. Like he did very well with supposed horrible changes. And again, I think people will be a meta slave. They'll look at a chart and they'll be like, oh, okay, I want to do that because I want to do the most damage. But I always say that if you're skilled enough and you know that class well enough, you can make anything work if the game is okayish balanced.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, is just the fact that you need the skill first. Does having the build help? Absolutely. But if you don't have the skill behind it, the build means nothing.
Right.
So I would really love people to kind of get into that mindset, is to don't be a meta slave. Like, think for yourself when it comes to your class. Play what you like. Like, I remember playing back when Legion came out, I tried a Demon Hunter, I played Vengeance, and of course I played Havoc, but I played Havoc for a little bit, didn't dig it because the meta, if you remember, was doing that whole vaulting backwards and then dashing forward, and you were just doing this weird like back.
It was just all over.
Yeah, like it was super mobile, and I hated it. I was like, this is so dumb. I just played the non-meta, and I did fine. I did fine in the dungeons. I did fine in my raids, but I basically went tanking afterwards because I just fell more in love with tanking. But I mean, just do what you enjoy. Like, who cares if you're doing 3% less damage? Like in a game that's gonna have no damage meters. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only really like I think maybe two instances where going for the meta is actually beneficial and everyone would be like, yeah, sure, you should totally do it. For one, if you're going for like esports and you're trying to win and there's big money on the line, yeah, go for what's going to try to guarantee you to win.
Absolutely.
But by the same token, if you can pick something that's not the meta, but is kind of built and designed to take down what the meta is, but it's not as strong as the meta, it's just custom designed to take them down, well, go for that instead. But yeah, that's one instance where, you got a lot of money riding on the line, then go for the meta, go for the strong stuff or something that can counter that meta and leave it at that. If you're not, I mean, the only other reasonable way I could possibly see suggesting someone to go for the meta is if they literally have no clue at all what they're doing about anything. Right. And they have no clue about the game, what they want to play, anything. All right, well, I mean, that's apparently pretty good, and it's pretty good, pretty easy to get up to high damage or defense or healing or whatever. So just pick that one. It's popular. There's going to be a lot of talk out there on how to work it, basically.
Yeah. Can we pop over to what the chat is saying real quick? There's a lot of good points happening here. So where do I begin? Goodness.
The chat's popping.
It is. So Psychophobic starts with saying, I totally agree. The meta on paper may not vibe with you. Just because it's the best on paper doesn't mean that you can play it to its strengths. And I absolutely agree. I would say, though, as somebody who's maybe getting into a class, maybe joining a meta might be a way to figure out what your playstyle is. If you don't know how to play it, maybe figure out like, okay, this is what people are saying the best is, and then play around with it from there. But also, I agree because Drock, the great, says mastery and skill. The meta only matters if you've already mastered the other two. And that's pretty much what you were saying. And I agree. Like the people that are great at playing their characters, for those that are like hardcore min-maxers, etc., they take the time to figure out the ins and outs of their skills and how those skills interact with other skills. And that's why I die in PvP all the time.
Never change. Never change.
So,
oh my gosh.
Just to say this, I never thought I would ever be married to someone who said, babe, I want to play MMOs. And she's never played any computer game ever.
Oh, wow.
My wife, we're in the process, this is her desk behind me, of building her a really awesome computer because she wants to play Ashes of Creation.
Yay!
So, but we've been playing World of Warcraft.
2v2 win, just saying.
to kind of just show her the ropes of MMOs, right? Because she's never played any MMO. So I figured, I made her play Classic from level 1 to level 40. And so, doing all those things. And again, like, just to kind of show her like what it is to do an ability. She plays a hunter in World of Warcraft. But
nice.
Just showing her the ropes and everything like that. And then now we started playing retail and she's like, oh my God, this is like so much easier compared to Classic. And again, she was only playing with 3 abilities, but to the ingestion, right? To be able to ingest all that information and everything like that. Like, I think that to me, like as new people, casual people coming into Ashes of Creation, like you got to do what feels good in that moment. And if you have a bunch of passives and not many actives, so be it. You're going to learn those passives really, really well. So when you start doing that in conjunction with and start adding some active abilities, you're really going to understand those passives that you've been doing for so long. And I think it's all about just teaching and training yourself. You know what I mean? Like no one is expecting you to be an expert day 1, month 1, hell, even year 1.
Yeah.
As long as you're just being in a guild, and as long as you're in a guild that caters to your kind of personality. You're playing with a lot of people that, are just, your friends and they're really good people and they allow you to learn. Awesome. If you're in a guild where they expect that kind of performance out of you and you're kind of in the casual side, maybe you need to find someone who's a little bit more casual. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
I just don't
Yeah.
like people conflating. If I'm a very casual person and I join something that's hardcore, I expect everybody to live to my rules. I hate that.
Mm-mm.
And the same thing goes for that hardcore person going into something very casual and expecting everyone to go up to their level. Like, you just don't do that. Just go to the proper community. That's all you got to
Right.
do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's an old phrase that people use typically in a derogatory manner, saying, you know, stay in your lane. But I mean, it's important. Like, if you're a super hardcore full tilt person, don't go bothering people who are casual and expect them to, you know, live up to your number of hours and effort commitment, because that's just not how they enjoy the game, and vice versa. Like, you can't expect a hardcore guild to slow down and wait for you. So literally, just everybody, you chill with your own people, and, you know, help out others when they want the help.
Right.
Just everybody understanding what everybody else is there for, you know?
Right. The other thing I wanted to add is, like, not only is your wife, Vladis, new to MMOs, but there's a lot of people that Vertec and I have seen that are new to MMORPGs and are planning to join Ashes of Creation as their first one. And when I was playing World of Warcraft, I was like, what does proc mean? You know, it's like,
my wife was the same way. She's like, what's a trinket?
Right. So, like, there's these things that you know naturally from playing MMOs or video games, like health bar. I actually watched somebody who never played a video game before. They didn't know what a health bar was. They're like, wait, how do you know what that is? Where do you, what?
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see that perspective, because I grew up playing video games. So I knew what a health bar was well before I played an MMORPG. I mean, Mario Brothers, you got a health bar, right? So, like, it's just interesting to see it from a perspective of somebody who's never even touched video games and then trying to get into, I mean, MMOs, I'd say, are one of the more complex. So I would be interested in seeing how, I would be interested in seeing how, like, some of these immense number of abilities would be for somebody who's new. Is it going to be intimidating for them? Is it going to be easy for them to get into?
It depends if it's procedural, right? So, like, in WoW, you hit level 7, and at level 7 you get Crusader Strike, you know, for a paladin. Like, you have no choice in that. When you hit level 7, you get that ability. I'm really curious if there is going to be some sort of a choice. Like, when you ding a level, is it like a talent point where then it goes into like 4 abilities you can potentially choose from? Like, that to me would be really freaking cool, because then as a new person, you can look at each option and be like, I think I like this one the best. Because I feel like sometimes your base initial rotational kit doesn't click with people right away. But if you're able to choose what you want your rotation to be, then you're going to develop a very unique play style within that class. And I'm just really curious if Ashes is going to do something like that. It'd be awesome if they did. Yeah,
definitely. Meatloaf, I see your question. I'm tagging it so that I don't lose it. We'll come back to that. Unless you're good to swap over to that question specifically.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so Meatloaf asks, let me grab it. There it is. Oh, did you guys touch on the disguising your nameplates question? Not yet, but we're about to. That could be fun and a pain in the ass at the same time. I feel like when I do it, it will be dope, but when someone else does it to me, I'll hate it. And that's another thing that would be interesting. So just to refresh anybody's memory, somebody was asking about being able to crouch in a bush and hide your nameplate. Like, would it be able to hide so you can, like, stalk your prey? And I feel like that would, again, be super cool for me to do it, but I'd be like, where the heck is this person shooting at me from? Just start, like, swinging in the bushes or something, like.
I kind of feel that what Steven said was really awesome. The fact that you're going to more rely on your class kit and arsenal of abilities than you are a bush or a tree. Like, because there's going to be certain classes that are going to have, he said stealth, he mentioned camouflage, he even mentioned disguise, which, bro, if you can be like an NPC and you know there's these 2 guards that they go down this one road or whatever, and you can have you and your friend be those same, like, disguise yourself out as those guards, and then it's 4 of them and you're like, oh, I've never seen 4 of them before, and then you just kind of like la 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 la, you turn your back on them and then boom, they come and get you. Like, that is way cooler than hiding in a bush, my friend. I'll go on saying. Like, so they can do some really, really awesome stuff with those abilities, and I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with stealth and just camouflage in general. Like, how invisible are you going to be? I don't know. I'm just curious.
Overthrow's over there trying to be a changeling.
Hey guys, I'm Gladys. You could potentially do that. Like that'd be even crazier if you can actually disguise yourself as like another player. Because then
yeah,
it's
the
like
disguise kits. I think didn't they say that was gonna be like an item that you could get a hold of potentially for? I mean, I honestly don't want to say anything else because I forget the exact quote, but I think that was referred to as like an item that you could obtain, and I'm almost thinking maybe from what was it, like the thieves, the thief organization?
Oh yeah, Thieves Guild.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the disguise kit would probably be something so that people who aren't like a ranger or a rogue can be able to try to back polymorph. No, can try to hide like the way that they can, but they have to use an item to do it, right? So I feel like that's kind of how it is. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was supposed to be bring back polymorph. I thought theater was making fun of me for all of my polymorph fails during the Alpha one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Basin. That's fair.
Did you want to talk about question 12?
Ooh.
So this was the big one. This is the big kahuna.
Ooh. Well, first, I want to hear, Vertec, did you get your opinion out with the nameplate stealth thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, man, see, that one's so tough. I think I have to be in full agreement there with Vladis. So no matter how deep I think on it, like, if the class kit is going to let you do something like that, then it's going to not let you do something else equally cool. Mm-hmm. And another class kit's going to have that equally cool something else. And I think I really like the idea of that more so than liking to be just a random person playing random class that can, lay prone in a bush and throw a rock at somebody's head. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it just seems cooler, like, if you were to pull off one of your class abilities more so than just hiding in a bush. Like, I don't know. Like, I understand his point, and I'll just mention this with Crouch. I really hope there isn't Crouch. Like, there
is or is not?
I hope there isn't. Because he said that there's debate internally if they want to do Crouch or not.
I'd be okay with Crouch myself. I'd be okay with Crouch myself.
I would be okay with it. I just prefer to not have it. If that can be an answer. Like, I wouldn't mind it if it's in there, but I would rather just not have it personally.
Snickers versus Bladis, what?
Like I said, if it's in the game, I'll do it. Like, I'm not like, oh, this is stupid, it's in there. Like, I would just prefer if it wasn't there, but if it's there, cool.
Yeah, I like it as an extra thing you can do. Just if you're feeling that actual like role play inspiration for a moment, it's another thing you can do. Because even if it's just a role play thing in general, and you can't like run and skid down into a crouch or something like that, like you're doing Call of Duty door sweeps or something, but just
that'd be interesting.
Running over and just have an emote that lets you do it. That'd be cool enough for me, I suppose. Not that I do RP a lot, but I think it's one of those things that would probably be missed. Like, oh, you can't crouch, and it would just feel weird to me to have everything else in this game built out so crazy in depth and social interactions and all this and that, but they just decided to not put crouch in.
Oh, Snickers, you don't have to appeal to me. I'm gonna say it. Snickers says, I have a strong argument for it. Look at UE5 video where Steven uses crouch to walk under the rock to avoid mobs or get to the other chamber of the cave. Like, you don't have to appeal with me. I am in agreement. I like crouch.
Like I said, it's just a personal thing. Like, I'm not saying that you can have crouch, like when it comes to like those kinds of things, right? Like you hit E because you're gonna have to crouch to go in that little cave or whatever. Yeah. But I'm talking crouch just like when you're out of that, just like if you were just there.
You heard it here first. Gladys is anti-crouch. No, just kidding.
Anti-crouchist. My goodness.
Question number 12. You wanted to talk about next.
Yes. So this is the big one. This is the one where
This is the whammy.
Was not expecting this. I don't think a lot of people were expecting this.
I didn't expect this level of detail to come out of it.
Yes. So question was, can we get a more concrete list of the professions and which artisan classes they belong to? I believe last time it was mentioned it was planned to have 22 professions. Mm-hmm. And he says, we're doing it live. I'm going to show you right now what the current current list is. 22 professions in total.
Yes.
5 gathering, which is mining, logging, or lumberjacking, herbaling, fishing and hunting, which I think hunting's going to be skinning. I don't know. Maybe it was just another name. Who knows? We'll find out. Processing, which is there's 9. There's metalworking, stone masonry, weaving, tanning, lumber milling, farming, animal husbandry, alchemy, and cooking. Crafting, weaponsmithing, carpentry, arcane engineering, armor smithing, leatherworking, tailoring, jewel cutting, and scribing.
I want to touch on this really quickly. So Psychophobic says, did you notice he didn't mention shipbuilding? To that same note, he didn't mention caravan building. So my thinking here is that you're going to have to use these other crafting to turn in elements that will then build your ship or build your caravan. Because I think the caravanserai is supposed to be very similar to the way that the ship is built. In terms of the design of how that whole thing works.
I think they wanted to go, like when they were probably looking at just shipbuilding and thought this whole profession just kind of is all encompassing to just work on its own. Like, I think they wanted to feed more of those parts into just other professions. And they thought, well, why don't we just get rid of shipbuilding in general and just have it to where you need like 3 different professions to make a ship? That to me makes way more sense, in the sense of like actually having deep professions. Like the profession's not all about just ships, right? Because I think, again, that's not saying that's bad, you know what I mean? But I think having more to your profession than just building a ship is better.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Unless, maybe shipbuilding is meant to be and I'm just saying this maybe because I don't recall hearing if shipbuilding was going to be a player skill or if maybe they're intending it to be an NPC based thing. That way the ships are always available to be built and you don't have to look for a ship crafter to get yourself on the water. Or maybe it's just a basic thing. I mean, I'm looking it up now, but that was just like a passing thought just because I've never really played a game and gotten hyped over naval combat or naval stuff. So the naval stuff in Ashes to me has just been like it's kind of the thing that sparkles over here on the side. I'm like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool, and I just keep walking straight to the other stuff.
Snooker says that last time there was a profession called shipbuilding and now it's gone. Well, that may have been one of the multiple things that they changed and removed. Was taming mentioned? Yes, as animal husbandry, I believe, under the processing. Ash's Nurse says, who makes the potions? Then, in regards to me responding to Overthrow's, why is alchemy in processing? I was assuming that alchemy is in processing because what is alchemy or... I mean, I imagine it to be, cooking, right? What is alchemy or cooking but processing of ingredients to make something? So boiling stuff down or, things like that.
Yeah, you know what? They may very well have, and Overthrow says that it was clarified in Discord by a community manager today that taming is part of hunting.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
Which to me also makes sense that shipbuilding could end up being in carpentry under crafting. That
would also make sense. Yeah. I would actually have thought that taming would have been a part of husbandry as like a part of the stage. So like you could go into animal husbandry in the focus of taming the animals or in the focus of, husbandry them. I don't know what the word is. Breeding them. But yeah.
Breed them.
Stephen mentioned that any player could build a ship, but shipbuilders were supposed to be the ones able to alter the existing ship, aka loadouts, repairs, etc. So yeah, possibly a husband. Okay, Beyonce. So possibly, carpenters would probably fall under that category, I imagine. But
Same,
as a carpenter,
if you loved it, you should have put a saddle on it.
Well, I was just going to mention too, like player housing. Like I would want, carpentry to encompass not just shipbuilding, not just, probably stuff that you can make for gear potentially or whatever, but also like the actual, why am I blanking on the name? I just said it. Player housing, like building tables and chairs and all this other stuff, like potentially even the outer part of the house itself. Like I feel like making professions more broad is better than making them very niche. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Meatloaf wants to quit Vertag.
wish I could quit you. My God.
It's not so easy. It's not so easy.
But, I mean, a lot of that being said, this is Alpha 1. There is so much. Well, actually, sorry. This is leading into Alpha 2.
Right.
There's still so much that can change. Granted, like they are doing a lot of base building on all of these events and these types of structures in terms of gameplay mechanics, gameplay systems, etc. But that's also why I think it was important to note that he was mentioning today when somebody was asking about like, what do you need to complete for Alpha 2 and like what are some things that need to be tested still, and he was talking about a lot of these crafting systems need to be tested, and that will be a good focus for Alpha 2, at least initially, to get that kind of hammered out and figured out. Right. And I think between that and I mean, I was personally excited to hear that there's going to be at least some spot testing before the end of the year. I actually wasn't even prepared to hear that until the beginning of next year. But I was hopeful for it, you know. I was like, no, it sounds like things are going well, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, and also the alchemy thing, by the way, just to throw this out there, it's possible that this list right now is the finalized version, and everything else that was said before is kind of thrown out the window.
Possibly.
Right, because they kind of isolated some stuff and combined some things into one specific category, and alchemy being in processing actually kind of makes sense if you go back to the original statements of alchemy, which is basically transforming one material into another, right? Right. You actually see it. Yeah, it's a seemingly magical process of transformation, creation, or combination.
There's also going to be a dyeing system too, is there not? Different colors and different, you know, so that's another part that
maybe alchemy you could
process.
change color, two colors, or two of one color into one of the other or something. But so that kind of makes sense. And then for the crafting portion, it could be arcane engineering is what's going to make your potions and stuff. Yeah. So they had to make something in gathering and something in processing and something in crafting, and alchemy, if you really look at it, I guess kind of makes sense in the processing instead of crafting.
Yeah.
Can we grow plants? I think. Farming?
In your farm?
Yeah, farming. Yeah. Yep. And I believe they even said something about crop rotation will be a thing you need to do as well. So it's not just plant my flowers and they're going to grow all year round.
Yeah. Yeah, arcane engineering was my first thought as the throughput for alchemy processing. That's probably it. Possibly. I'm interested to see what this... I've never heard of this thing called arcane engineering, so I'm interested in seeing their take on it. But yeah, honestly, I think there's a lot there. But to kind of clarify, Snuckers, yeah, I meant before the end of the year, which is literally the next 2 months. As opposed to some of us were thinking we wouldn't see it until like Q2 maybe next year. So it's just... in general, yeah. Maybe arcane engineering is also like enchanting. Well, maybe. It's a good question. Can I gorilla farm though? Animal husbandry?
Yeah, it honestly sounds like each of these are going to be fairly in depth as far as what they can do.
I'm super stoked to try these out. Yeah.
Just a quick question for you guys. Did your opinion on when Alpha 2 is going to come out change after today's AMA?
No, because I was very hopeful. I was hopeful that we would see something before the end of the year. And even if that was like spot testing for NDA stuff. Spot testing, what does that mean? That means that for certain packages or certain people of the community that have access to it, there is an NDA private spot testing that they get invited to. I think that was listed on some of the package information back on Kickstarter days.
Was he specifically for you that is spot testing your clothing for spots of blood in case you missed you
get your Tide marker out and get rid
and you somehow avoided getting corruption? That's what spot testing means in your case. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I believe, if this is me speculating, I believe it would probably include both PI and Alpha 1. I'm not sure. Snuckers might be more up to date on that than I am, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just guessing. But you know, I'm just going off of what information I've heard and what I can recall.
Yeah,
just terribly
I think,
put together.
It didn't really change my expectation because I had always thought there were going to be one of two wash your clothes in blood. Nice. That's a good way to avoid it. Hard to find spots when it's all over, right?
You can't complain that you have blood on your shirt when it's already blood red.
Oh, loudy. But yeah, I've always held to two predictions, and one was going to be that they were going to start the testing before the holiday break, and then they were going to take the holiday break and come back with the full tilt testing, or they were going to do some spot testing before the holiday break, and then when they get back from the holiday break, they're going to start ramping up and announce that there's going to be, Alpha 2 beginning in insert date.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, this is just a life motto for myself. I don't really go in expecting anything. I go in with the hopefuls, but I find 9 times out of 10, I will never get disappointed if I don't expect anything, but go in with like an open mind of like anything could happen. And I think I learned that with Ashes, especially hard when the servers went down, I think before Alpha 1 released, and they had to figure out how to fix the servers. And there was just this long, drawn-out silence that Vertec and I had to fight through in order to make content. And it was really hard. And it was a little bit of a struggle because I was excited. There was like good progress on the game, and then suddenly like a screeching halt for a bit of time. And since then, I kind of learned like, anything could happen. Technology is finicky. This is their first time building a game, and there's things that could pop up that they just didn't expect whatsoever. But if you take this into context, in January they announced, or actually even December, they announced that they were swapping into UE5, and here we are in October having it announced that before the end of the year there's going to be spot testing for Alpha 2.
Right.
That is really fast development, in my opinion.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't know when they actually do spot testing because it'll be under NDA. But
yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping.
Even their internal spot testing, the fact that I imagine they're doing this throughout the whole process, but still, like.
Right.
Somebody says Q2 or Q3 2023 may be a date for Christmas. A2 December 2022.
Yeah, honestly, all in all, I see the next couple of months being spot testing and whatnot. We'll probably see Alpha 2 by late spring, early summer, I'm thinking. And then we'll have Alpha 2 for a year or two.
And I like that Alpha 2 is going to be more stable. It's gonna be 24/7 persistent, except for when they have to take it down. But somebody made a good point. I think I saved this earlier in the chat. Talking about having basically there was there it is. Yes. So Zetric said I had some desync issues, but considering how many we were and how early it was, and I think they fixed during the testing as well, because I didn't have it after the 2 first ones, which they were so on top of fixing those bugs. They were quick. They had fixes out really fast. They brought it down. They brought it back up. They were super on top of it. It was crazy. And I really like that. That shows their dedication. That shows their hunger to make a good product. Right. And there's just, a lot there. Somebody asks, sorry, I'll wait. Go ahead.
Well, I was specifically going to be replying to, for one, psychophobic for sure. Yeah, the switch to E5 is going to make for faster development going forwards. Absolutely, especially with all the stuff they've shown off. But then J-Rock, the only way Alpha 2 is longer than a year is if something needs to be overhauled. Maybe, but maybe not. Because who knows how much they still need to do and what they're going to consider ready for release. With anything, they could want to do like an absolute perfect polishing job, and it might go for 1.5 to 2 years of Alpha 2.
I mean, have you met Steven?
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with J-Rock. My mind was recently changed on this because I thought very similar to you, Vertec. I think Steven is going to be willing more to extend the release of Alpha 2 than he is extending Alpha 2 longer. I think what he really wants to give chaos. And just by looking at the range basic combat, right? The world right now looks incredible. They haven't even started polishing yet, and it looks just insane. But what I think we're going to get, and I think what we're not used to as consumers, is actually getting an alpha that isn't feeling like a skeleton. Like if you tested New World or any other MMO out there, it always feels like there is a long way to go. Like hell, even World of Warcraft expansions, I'm like, there is no way they're going to launch this in 3 months. And sure enough, they do. And sure enough, there's a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And it takes 2 major patches before we finally get to a good starting point. So you're exactly right. They rush it. But if they don't rush Alpha 2 and we can get Alpha 2, let's say in April, and we go in and there's no bugs, there's all of the major crap is just completely smoothed out, and we're basically just giving feedback on how it feels. Is it fun to play? Is this engaging to do? If that's the entire process, that could technically take anywhere from 6 to 8 to maybe a year.
But see, that's the problem though, is you're talking about a beta though, you're not talking about an alpha. Like alphas are specifically like, we just put these systems in, we got them working, let's iron out all the bugs for them, let's see if these systems even work, if we need to gut everything and change it up because it's not working. They're still getting feedback on systems to see if they need to change anything, because they don't know if it's going to work. Like betas are after they're like, okay, this is the direction we want the game to go. Now all we're doing is we're working out bugs, spelling errors, people falling through the world because the map didn't quite, clip in just correctly, that type of thing. But like for an alpha, there's going to be a lot of stuff where they're expecting to change it and or Alt F4 the entire system and rebuild from the ground up, because they don't know. Like even with the crafting thing, Stephen was saying that there's going to be a thing where you can interact with the crafting with a little gamey like layer to it, but I don't know how that's going to play out. We're going to need a lot of feedback, and we might need to change that entire thing might be thrown in the trash bin.
And I mean, that being said, what J-Rock says, Steven said himself, the feature will be complete. It would be feature complete, I mean, for alpha. So before they even go to beta. Yeah, by
the end of it, not the beginning. The beginning, it's definitely going to be an iterative process. Yeah.
Stikino, welcome in.
And that's why I think that Alpha 2 is going to be taking a good amount of time, and potentially up to 2 years, depending on what is decided on the feedback and how, like, if they get everything one shot straight through, I could see it being maybe a year.
I think, and here's the other thing of why I lean more towards the optimistic side of probably less than a year or even at a year, is because I feel that a lot of the MMO developers are completely out of touch to what makes an MMO great. I feel like the people that Steven is hiring not only sees his vision, but wants to create that vision. And I think we're getting way more people that are working at Intrepid that understand MMOs way better than what the AAA studios do. And I think if internally they're testing it and they love it, it's probably gonna be a good chance that we're gonna love it too, because he hired them specifically because they play MMOs. And not only do they play MMOs, they also develop MMOs. So I think that's why I'm leaning more towards it being more optimistic. Now, the whole flow of Alpha 2 can completely change. There could be certain things that they may have to Alt F4, but maybe not. I mentally, I'm like you. If it takes 2 years for it to do it, it takes 2 years. But I think if as a collective, we can go in and have the kind of, hell, Alpha 1 was a month. And look at how much back and forth there was between the community and the developers, That was just 1 month. Imagine that for 12.
Right.
Hell, imagine that for 6.
Right.
Like the amount of stuff that we can change and the amount of things that we can actually get under our belt. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, of course, right? So.
Absolutely. And Woodchip says, I wish someone asked what percentage of systems will be in place in the beginning of Alpha 2, just to set expectations for the community. And I agree with that.
I agree with that too.
Because like he'll say like this will be in Alpha 2, if not at the beginning, then like at some point shortly thereafter, etc. But I think he's trying to, and I think we might see more of that information as we get closer to the Alpha 2 being put out. But yeah, I think some of you guys have very good points, like if it's if it's feature complete, it's not alpha. That's kind of the point though, because this is alpha 2. After alpha 2 is beta 1. So once it's feature complete, that means it's ready to move into betas. And I'm excited for that. But Snecker says the biggest problem with the 1 to 2 year persistent alpha is a thing called alpha burnout. And that's another good point, you know, like it's supposed to be persistent into the betas. So it's one of those things of how long is it going to be?
It really depends too on the kind of testing they do. There's a lot of people, let me just speak on this real quick. There's a lot of people who feel that alpha 2 is going to be this wonderland playground of doing whatever you want to do. I really don't think that's going to be what alpha 2 is going to be. I think alpha 2 is going to be very centralized and very forced in what you're going to test. And what that means is that you're not just going to be able to play your class and go off into the world and do whatever you want. There's going to be probably weeks where you're going to spawn in Ashes and you're going to be on a boat and you're going to test naval for a whole week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe the whole month. And then after that test is done, then you're probably going to spawn into like a node. You can't go outside of that node, and all you're going to be doing there is professions. You know, that's probably what they're going to be doing in the spot testing is you're just going to be in one area. You can't go anywhere else. And all you're going to be doing is just learning professions, seeing where the bugs are, seeing what you like about it, seeing how you like the crafting. And that's it. That's all you're doing. And I think if they rolled it out in that way, that could also prevent alpha burnout, because you're not experiencing these features the way it's intended. You're playing very unnaturally because it's meant to be tested. And I think a lot of game developers do this very wide net of letting you test everything, but you barely go 2 inches deep. Right. And then all of these issues rise up 3 or 4 months later after it's live because we didn't go that far in testing. So I feel like forced testing is the best way to go. But again, Intrepid has something else in mind. You know, who knows?
And Aloud Sound, I agree. Weeks of dungeons is going to be needed.
And I would be 100% okay with and happy about them doing exactly that. Like focus testing, because it gives the teams that are in charge of insert whatever content time to iterate and build in the small changes day by day. And then when they go to test a completely different system, that's when they get to the real nuts and bolts and really try to struggle with fixing the big stuff or making giant sweeping changes if they decide that a big entire wing of a feature just needs to be removed and changed. Right. And still people are entertained waiting for that big change. They're not just doing the same stuff over and over. They're doing something else completely different and keeping it new and fresh and interesting. And the alpha burnout, I think, is going to be a lot more of a slow burn. Right. People will be able to last a lot longer with, this is what you're testing for these 2 weeks. All right, well, I don't care about that system. I'll be back in a couple weeks. Yeah. Or, okay, exactly. So now they're focused on that system. And then after that 2 to 3 weeks, it's a totally different thing they're able to test. They're not even able to access that system again. So it's something new and different again.
Yeah, and Snecker says that they're most excited for a full month of testing sieges. So, for example, if somebody is more into sieges and PvP, they're not going to really care about when they're crafting, doing the crafting tests, right? So that, you might see that. And I mean, Vertec, I think you can speak to this because both of us have done video game testing through a company, but you have very focused tests on what they want you to do and in different parts of the test. And it's one of these things where we lived out in California. I ended up running into this guy that was always looking for people to test. So if you guys live in California, you want to make a quick buck doing video game testing and you have an ability to leave your job during the day to do it for hours, let me know. I'll hook you up with the person. But you have to be in like the Bay Area, I think. But
Santa Monica, San Jose,
San Mateo,
San Francisco,
San Mateo. I think Santa Monica is the other direction.
Well, they have some down there, specifically in Santa Monica.
Gotcha. Sure. But yeah, I think there's just a lot of specifics. I mean, even Steven shut off PvP, right? Because people were killing each other. And he was like, I didn't want you guys testing that. I wanted you testing this thing. And so, 5,000 bears, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, different things that are going to be tested, I think.
I think it would also work especially well for Ashes, because of the focus on large-scale PvP stuff. And if they only open that up for like a 1 month testing period, and then they shut it down, that's going to ensure that everybody logs on and everybody is constantly testing that feature. Because the big thing. Hey, we're testing castle sieges. Hey, we're testing node siege.
Yeah.
Can I
my
ask
gosh.
another question?
Go for it.
Okay.
I suppose so.
No, you can't ask questions.
Oh,
This is
dang.
our show.
Questions are outlawed. I'm not sure if you saw that. It's in the 2022 charter.
It's not until Alpha 2 that you can ask that question.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
So,
What you got?
question
What you got?
13, because this one I think Steven copped out a little bit in answering it, but he says, how many active players monthly subs are necessary for the game to survive, and at how many active players would Steven consider the game a success? I feel like he kind of copped out, because I feel because you are an indie studio, what is that number, Steven? Like, if we have, because it's going to be like, let's say 1 million people do play that game, but then it dwindles down to 230,000 players. Is that a sustainable number for Intrepid not to die? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and real
that-
quick,
Yeah.
real quick, just to drop this in and get them thinking, everybody that came from Jalan's channel, I know for a fact he probably did this math today, immediately after the stream. So, if you give us the cheat sheet, what did Jalan say? But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, it's because he did. I mean, I think people just want to know, and I want to know too. I mean, Wildstar, that's another game too that I found out today. You know how long it took Wildstar to come out? Do you know how long they were in development for that game? Curious
5, 6
question if
years,
anybody knows.
something like that.
5 or 6? Chibi, what do you think?
Oh, I have no idea. I only know
But
Wildstar because of Vertec.
Okay, so Wildstar actually launched very successfully. There hardly were any bugs. They launched with a very robust player housing, which a lot of people hail as probably one of the best player housing systems in any MMO. It had a plethora of dungeons, raids, in-depth classes, all that stuff. 9 years it took to make that game.
Yep.
Damn. See, I knew about it for about 4 years, and that was about it. I didn't know how
Thank
long
you,
it was in
Magista.
development at all.
It's because they announced it officially in 2011, which is why you knew about it for 4 years. So for the past 6 years before that, no one knew about it because they were hush hush. So it takes a long time to make an MMO. But all I'm saying is that I think because it takes a long time to make an MMO, and because we know Intrepid literally just got started, they're not like Blizzard was, where they were in the 90s making Warcraft RTSs, and then it became World of Warcraft in 2004. We don't want this to live and die in 2 years like Wildstar.
Right. Right.
We want this game to succeed. So I think it was a very valid question to ask. Like,
Yeah.
is 100,000 players sustainable for Intrepid to keep going and keep their doors open?
And-
Like, it's a valid question. I feel like he just kind of did not answer that.
There's Snickers, I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna hold that. There's a few things. So Magisa said Jalan had done the math, and it's around 1 million subs that it would take for Steven roughly 4 years to recoup his investments. And I think that's valid. But the other points that the chat is making is it's high risk for Steven to say any form of numbers. And, Psycho says that they're actually shocked Steven threw out numbers at all. And then Overthrow says if he says 50K minimum subs and then the game has maybe 49K, people will start grabbing that clip and being like, oh, it failed.
It's the end of Ashes.
So it's like, I think there's like
Probably true.
that whole
That's
thing
probably
of like trying to protect himself and like, not having a PR stunt,
Right.
And I think, who is it? J-Rock says 225K is more than enough. And I agree. Like,
Yep.
honestly, all of this is already funded by Steven. And
Right.
the cash shop stuff is helping with maybe preparing for, expansions and stuff in the future. But he has the base game fully funded. I believe he has said that at least a couple of times at this point.
Right.
But yes, Overthrow says, I know Steven avoids clickbait answers sometimes.
It's true. And yeah, Snickers will become ye old Pantheon Tavern.
Can you actually help me with this? What is, please?
What is?
Yeah, Pantheon podcast. What is?
Oh, it's another game that many people are not excited
It
about, and
is
some people
another
are.
game.
Gotcha.
It is another game. That's about it.
That's about it.
And I don't know much about it because I've heard nothing but type
Lots of
comments.
drama around
so-
Pantheon. Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. Well, you know what? I would rather avoid
Pantheon
this.
is the Ashes killer.
So, like I was mentioning with Wildstar, it taking 9 years to come out. Pantheon has been in development for 9 years. and it's still not out.
Yeah.
Whew, that's all I got to say about that one.
Yeah, I mean, WildStar, it seemed fun when I got to play with it a little bit, but Vertec and I'm sure Wizzy will both mourn the loss of their beloved WildStar.
A lot of people do.
Every day.
A lot of people do. So
I have a shrine in the back of my mind, and every day I wake up,
Well,
I light a candle.
I want to take a moment here real quick. I want to draw attention. That is 8:40. I don't know what your time frame is tonight. I did want to let you know, in case you didn't know, we are now doing a post-podcast Tavern Talk. So if you're interested in hanging out in the after show as well, and just, as they say, shooting the shit, chat about Ashes. Also, your lovely missus is welcome to join as well, and we can ask her questions.
Oh God, no.
No?
She would literally be petrified.
Aww.
She is like, we get in Discord into the guild sometimes, and she's just like, can we just do a call, just me and you? And she's not saying she doesn't like meeting new people.
No,
she does.
no.
She's very shy.
Yeah.
And I think that's one aspect, because I told her, like, you're playing an MMO. Let me tell you what MMO stands for. It's massively multiplayer online role-playing game. So I was like, you have to get used to talking to people. So I think, I think she will. It's just a little.
Does she like scary movies? Does she like scary movies at all?
She hates scary movies.
Oh, right. Because I was going to say, give her a Michael Myers mask and a knife and let her point aggressively at the camera, because then she couldn't possibly feel shy if she's yelling at the camera and like pointing the knife at it aggressively.
That's very true.
That's funny.
Because she's in command. And has a mask on, so you can't even see her face. See?
Thank you for the follow. I'm vibing with what Velatus has been saying today, even know exactly what he means with the Fire Mage content creator name drama. I give her Lost Ark and she can play MMO without talking to anybody.
That's very true. I really could. Aww. She actually liked the characters in Lost Ark. I showed her Lost Ark a little bit, but apparently she did not like the asymmetric or isometric style. Is it asymmetric or isometric? Always
isometric.
Isometric. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, she didn't like that. So she's like, I like third person better. I was like, me too.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see. I don't know what isometric is, but I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I like third person. I like the view that we're having on screen right now. That's more comfortable for me. Honestly,
isometric is like the view from the top and just a little bit offset, and it stays there and it doesn't move.
Is it
just follows you everywhere like that?
Diablo.
Or like I was gonna say League of Legends, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't like those. I just can't.
I don't mind them, but it's not my favorite. I would rather have third person. I think third person provides way more immersion.
Yeah.
So.
Also,
I like looking at like everything. I don't know. I like being able to zoom into my character and take a screen. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I think what was it? Woodchip came back and said something like 1 million subs is like 720 million in revenue. But you figure that a lot of that's going to be towards like taking out for like taxes for one, and who knows what the payroll looks like at this point.
Yeah.
And once they get like what's it they're aiming for, 150 people by the end of the year, and these are 150 people being paid in Southern California paychecks.
No.
And pretty much everybody there is going to be in six figures, right? I mean,
yeah.
I know $60,000 a year is basically poverty in California. So I mean, take that into account.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. But
walk into a burger place and get $20 an hour.
Yeah. So Vladis, are you interested in joining us back after like the short break for more just chit chat?
Yeah,
casual?
Sure.
Okay. Well, did you guys want to, this is more, I guess, to Vertec, or if you have anything you need to do real quick, Vladis, did you want to go ahead and take our 15-minute break now? We don't really have much else to like announce. And then maybe we can get into some of those unanswered questions.
Yeah, start theorizing on the unanswered stuff.
So,
yes.
By the way, if you're new here, welcome. We recently, and I mean within the last 2 months recently, started doing a post-podcast Tavern Talk where we will take about 15-minute break. I will let my dog out. We'll go grab some food and the refill on water. And then Yes. Sorry about that last week, guys. I was getting super hangry.
Yeah, let's avoid the hanger. Let's avoid the hanger.
It's just one of those things. I didn't have a chance to eat like beforehand, and then because I worked right up until we went live, so I just until somebody mentioned food, I didn't even think about food, and then the second somebody mentioned it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really starving.
Me too, actually. I'm really starving.
So I think we'll probably take about a 15-minute break. Yes, don't forget to unmute when discussing our food choices. Right, you guys loved that. That was so mortifying for me.
Yeah,
but
we went into the break and still the mic was on because just getting used to the new setup still. And yeah, we were like placing an order, like looking through the menu for ordering from Sheets up the road.
Oh my god!
I get the spicy chicken.
I was so embarrassed.
What do you think? Jalapeno poppers?
I just want to say real quick, just to give a shout out to the people at Suspect. I really appreciate you guys because I shouted out that I was going to be on the podcast on their Discord.
Thank you so much for that, by the way.
I really appreciate everybody just hopping in and chatting in chat and just supporting. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have been a blast having in the chat. I mean, you guys are
you
been
too,
loving
J-Rock.
this.
I love you too.
Yeah, the time has stopped. But yeah, I guess did you have anything to leave the people with in case they need to duck out while we're on break here? Because I think we're going to officially end the actual podcast part and we'll go into just chill mode after the fact. So
Sounds good.
Any plugs or any?
Oh, for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. That was my final thing. If you want to see my YouTube channel, youtube.com/VladisGaming. Check out my content there. I make Ash's content. Every week I have a podcast called 1v1 Podcast, which I have a couple of people that are in the chat that's been on the 1v1 podcast. And then I will soon have the Golden Feather come November. Yes. That'll be great. So yeah. Thank y'all so much for just having me and inviting me.
Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely. And for those of you that have more time, fear not. We are simply going to do about a 15-minute countdown, and we'll be right back afterwards, so you don't have to worry about leaving.
Snickers, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
You were far too kind. First time in here, first time visiting us and chatting, and just so many gift subs.
Scratch that. We'll have an announcement when we come back real quick. But yeah, make sure you guys go take care of yourselves. Go to bathroom break, get some water or, some spicy water, if you know what I mean. And come back and chill. And we'll have a bit of conversation more with Vladis, which has been super fun, honestly.
Thank you, Oracle. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we go to dip away, I would like to say, as always, thank you everybody so much. Your time is a resource you do not get back. You spent it here, and we greatly appreciate that.
No. Wait.
No.
Wait.
No.
Yes.
Bad cash.
Yes, we do, though. We do.
What?
We just had an adoption, remember?
Oh, yeah, actually. That's,
we'll tell them. We'll tell them when we come back.
Yeah. That's something we can share with them. Yeah. I could totally see that. Well, I guess we'll see you all here in a little bit.
See you in a little bit.
I'm going to, just so you know, set us up on a timing outro screen, and I'm going to change it so that you can actually hear more than just the same song looped, and then you will have a 15-minute timer, and we'll be back after.
Yep. See you guys soon.
We shall see you then.
Later, guys.